Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Brandon Croucher. I am the CEO of Delight Cafe, and I am very honored, blessed, and very happy to have with me today Miss Ilse, for the Queen of South Africa. How are you, Miss Ilse?
I'm very, very well. Hi, guys. I'm so well. How's your weekend been?
My weekend's been long. It's that's the best way I could describe it. Long. I had some family stuff happening, and it's just been like one turn after another. But good things are around the corner. I hope that means it was a weekend. I was glad I wasn't having other things to do. But what about you? How have you been?
I've just been sorting out my life, packing my stuff, getting it ready, throwing out what's not going with me. So, and yesterday I did nothing, nothing. I didn't get out of bed until about 12 o'clock. Made some food, got back into bed, watched Netflix. Watched a movie, Sweet Girls or Sweet Girl or something like that.
I have I've not seen it.
You do not know what happens. Well, I put it on because I'm a big fan. I love it. I'll watch anything with him in. I'll watch anything with him in. So I'll put it in the background, even if it's a shit movie, as long as I look up and his face is there every now and then I'm happy. But that was really an interesting movie. I was like, well, I want to watch this. And that doesn't happen very often with me. I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch this anymore.
See, last night I got to watch my Browns play. Even though it was a preseason game, I got to watch some football.
Nice.
And that was fun because the starters actually played some of the game. Well, not all of them, but some of them. While others were, Saturday, my parents went out. I had a long, long day Saturday. I don't know why, but it felt like the world just kind of hit me between the eyes on Saturday. And I didn't want to do anything, so I stayed home to do some self-love and all that. And just... That's good. I did my nails. They look pretty. I have to do that, otherwise you can't see them.
They look pretty.
I bite them so much that's why I've been doing my nails. And my mom even was like, here, put this on. It's like a growing agent. It helps you like thicken the nail and all that. And my nails were getting really... So I did that, and then I put a top coat on. And what's funny is people are like, do you paint your nails? And I'm like, yes, I do. And I say it now with pride as a guy because truthfully, it's like one of those things where I'm trying not to bite them. And it's a nervous tick that you don't need to have. And I do it anyways. But I'm doing better at that. And this morning I woke up and I felt good that I had my nails done. I felt good that I had just in general, I felt good about being up and doing things for me. And then, I don't know why, but you ever have a day where you wake up and it feels like you feel like your head just swoop through your body, and then you're like, why does everything feel like I touch go wrong? because that's how this morning's felt. And I think it's interesting because yesterday I felt like that. And my depression started to kick in as someone with bipolar disorder. And it was really like, okay, don't get into this state. Don't get into this state. Don't get into the state. So speak positive to yourself. So I was doing that. And then the most weird thing I've ever had happen to me, my dad came up to me and was like, hey, I just wanted to talk to you for a minute. I'm like, what's up? He goes, I just want you to know how proud I am of you. You've really been working hard and you can see a huge difference. And that's not my dad. He never says things like that. So
that's so awesome.
Right? Like, it touched my heart. It felt really good. It made me know that my hard work is doing a difference to where he can see it. And it was just, I this morning, my mom, as I was getting my coffee, I was telling Ilse, I'm having an allergic reaction to something. My whole chest is itchy. My ears are itching. My head is itching. And I'm bald. So you see me going like this on my head. People are like, does he have fleas? And I'm like I'm walking around. I wish right? I'm like, I took a Benadryl last night and was out, like, dead to the world, just like hanging off my bed. And I just
sometimes that's needed. It's like just.
Then I didn't like this weekend. I had 2 interviews scheduled for the weekend. I missed both of them. Like, my alarm didn't go off. I stayed, like, when I say it was a weird weekend, like, for real, I've had more than one tech issue. I've had more than one. I had phone calls scheduled that when I called, they're like, our meeting isn't today. I had a therapist meeting that they were like, Brandon, that's tomorrow. But on the calendar for mine and theirs, they were saying it's on the calendar. So it's just been a very weird weekend. This morning, I was supposed to be on Project Joy. And when I woke up, it was already halfway through Project Joy. And my alarm has not even gone off once. So I'm like, what is going on? And it's just been a weird weekend. But I'm grateful because as I was downstairs getting my coffee, my mom looked me right in the eyes and she goes, you know what? You remember back in the day when you played football? And I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And she goes, because my mom never does football analogies. She goes, you had a game and you just didn't want to play. You just something and you said you didn't want to go play. And she goes, in that game, you intercepted a ball, ran it back for a touchdown, and that was the only score of the game. And in that same game, you did 2 goal line stands and kept your team in it. And she goes, you didn't want to play that game, but it was the best game of your career in football. And she goes, that's what your community's doing with you. It's when you wake up and feel like that, go put your smile on because maybe you don't want to show up for yourself, but you're showing up. And there's other people that are there that have an energy to fill you back up. And you need to let that be what fills your cup. Stop blocking your blessings. And I was like, damn it, Mom. Now I have to go be on stage, on air, and you're going to make me feel I don't believe Brandon played football. I did. I was a starting running back, and I played safety. And when I say you want to see that, I did. Okay, I don't know how to show you that. I don't have. They didn't Brandon was the ball. That is funny. That is funny. All right. So, Ilse, how was the rest of your weekend? I don't want to complain. I want to be grateful I'm here with every single one of you. As weird as my weekend is, I've already seen the blessings coming back to me in the fact that the meetings that I missed, I emailed and I was very honest. I was told lie through my teeth. Tell them you had tech problems. Tell them you had this. And everybody's telling me lie. Like, just these are important meetings. And I'm like, but if I lie, I'm starting my relationship with these people in a very negative way. So I was honest.
I like the way you said that. That is, I like it.
It's just one of those things. Like, I'm like, how do you want me to lie? Like, how could, and these were people that I respect their opinion. And I'm like, lie? You want me to literally tell somebody something that I'm hoping will be wanting to work with me that I'm doing something that maybe, I don't like that feeling. Like, cause then it makes me wonder, where would they lie to me? What are they lying to me about? Where are they holding things back on me? And I didn't want to do that. So for me, I literally told them the truth. And maybe that's where my itchy's coming from, is I was really worried about if they were going to get back to me or not. And then as we're getting ready to go on air, I've received emails from both people saying, I really appreciate your honesty. I understand that happens. I hope your body's feeling better. You obviously needed sleep, stuff like that. And they want to reschedule. So like my heart like felt much better, but like that is why life has weird twists and turns. What about you, Ilse? How was your weekend?
I like that. I feel that people are more open to talk about taking a day off or a personal day and not lying about being sick, and just being honest and taking accountability for your mental health in the workplace or in big meetings and everything. And I see a huge increase in that in the workplace and stuff, which is a good thing. There can be more focus on it.
Yes. Yes.
I like that you did that, because I think if you lied, it would have bothered you the whole time.
Yes. Yes. And I didn't want that. Have you ever had someone that you can't tell if they're lying or telling the truth, and they're someone that's new to you, and you don't really want to like assume anything, but then all of a sudden like you notice it's a pattern and you're like, okay, so maybe they were lying to me. Like I've caught people like that, and I'm like, that was the universe telling me, like, hey, no, like the double MVP. I went to Sports Clips Saturday and got the double MVP. I don't know what that means. Like, he got a haircut and a shave? Like, do they wax your nose hairs with the double MVP so you could smell again? I don't know. Like, there's lots of things in that comment, Brian. So, Ilse, tell me about your weekend.
My weekend was so amazing. I got to see one of my close friends and spend the day with her because she's also going through a rough time. And we just got to hang out and feed off each other's energy and just empower each other, because sometimes we forget how powerful we are alone, and we always think that there's nobody for us. So I just went and she's been there for me, and I went to extend my hand. We're 4 friends that are very, very close. And then just sorting out everything. I threw away half my stuff again.
What? Why?
Well, not threw away. Threw it in bags. I'm going to take it to work tomorrow. I finally handed in my laptop and my cell phone, my work phone. And as the show was starting, I just sent out an email to everybody that I worked with, because I haven't done that, but I didn't want to do it from my work email, because I've got a bond with all of them, and I would like them to keep in touch if they want to. So I've sent them all, given them my private number and everything. So tomorrow I must just go and sign off some paperwork and everything. And my daughter's going for her learners.
Oh, your daughter's going for her learners. This is going to be interesting.
Yes. I'm taking her. I'm very excited to take her.
Oh, I'm excited. Are you now? Wait, she's 15 and a half, or she's 16?
No. In South Africa, you can only get your learners at the age of 17, I think, and only your driver's license at the age, or is it 16 and then 2 years? I'm not sure, but you can't get your driver's license before you're 18 years old.
Really?
Yes, in South Africa.
I did not.
They can buy alcohol.
Wait, what?
Well, they can buy alcohol from the age of 18, and they can drive from the age of 18, and they can vote from the age of 18. From the age of 18, you can literally do anything in South Africa.
18, you can drive, buy alcohol, buy cigarettes, all that stuff.
All that stuff.
That's interesting.
All that stuff.
And all that jazz. So let's say hello to our audience and get ready. And then you and I have something special to do for someone today, don't we?
We do.
All right. I'm going to go right to the top. You give us the first one, and I'll dive on the second one. We'll do like we normally do. Ready?
Okay, got you. Start the show. He just wants it's Ryan. He just wants the dolphin.
He just wants the dolphin. He says, ready? Good morning, my favorite dolphin people.
I knew he was going to say that.
And then I have Miss Kim Curry. Miss Kim, it is a pleasure to see you. She is one of my favorite people. She lives in California. It's nice that she stops in and says hello. Brian Tracy, good to see you, my friend.
Mama Gotti, good morning. Morning. Welcome.
And then I got Miranda here. Miranda, have you been doing your tongue stretches? Because just to be honest with you, Ilse and I, like behind the scenes, I practice my tongue stretches by saying Ilse's name. Ilse. Good morning, Miranda. Good to have you here. And there goes my lizard. I bumped him just right. He fell. Brett Brack, good morning.
Good morning, Stuart. Good morning, lovely people, all the way from Stuart.
And then, Brian says I need to get it. If one is standing in a railroad tunnel, you are the bright light on the train that's coming at you at 65. If one is standing on a railroad tunnel, you are the bright light on the train that is coming at you 65 miles per hour. Is that because I'm bald? Is that a bald joke? Just curious. I'm just curious. Sherry McQueen, thank you for being here, love. We're very grateful you're here. Hello, love and appreciation. And I believe there's only a few more here. Oh, 2 more just popped in. You ready?
Morning, CK. Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you guys. I get so excited.
Mama Gotti, yeah, we're having tongue stretching competitions. Miranda has the longest tongue in like the history of tongues. She sticks it out, and I swear she touches her toes with it. Like, it's just amazing. Like, so we want to make sure we say hello to everybody and get your tongue stretches in. Ready? Everybody together now on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Say Ilse's name with it too. That way you get good practice. Ilse. I was asked how to say your name, and I said it like that, and they were like, does she know that you say it like that? And I'm like, I do it on air. I'm like, she taught me to say it like that. I go, I'm sorry if she thinks it's me. Mine is way too long. I don't know. Brett, you and Miranda are going to have a tongue off competition and see whose is longer. That sounded way worse than I meant it to sound. But like, I want you guys to be able to just like send pictures in, and whoever, it's going down and up. If you could touch your nose or the bottom of your chin, or lick your elbow cleanly. Like, that will make it where we know you have the longest tongue. Right? I just
get out can't do that.
Mama Gotti says, get out the rulers. Love this. I love it. Sarah Nelson, good morning. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Ilse says, hi. She was the one that asked me the proper way to say your name. She thought I was saying it wrong. I was like, no.
It's
I'm
Ilse.
not.
It's not Ilse.
No, it's Ilse. But it's, how's your day going? Ilse. There.
My day is
it's going, wait. I can touch both. But that I named 3 things. So I'm glad you could touch both. But I named 3 things. Nose, so the first.
Nose.
Right? Huh? Nose. And then you have to do the elbow. I can't do the elbow. That's
I got my nose.
Is that your way of doing it in the morning? You're like, I got this. I feel bad for our guest today. John's in the background, and he's like an investigative agent, and he's back there going, God, what did I get myself into today? This is going to be great. He's like, deep down inside, I bet he's thinking, I bet I could touch my tongue to my elbow, though. I bet he's thinking, he's like, I could do it. You could try. So apparently my internet is having problems, and that's what I just asked Brett that too. So if you guys are seeing it, please know I'm probably going to have to do a reset after the show, but I'm going to do my best to get it through the show. Yeah, thank you, Brett, for checking on that with me. So Brett, Ilse, you and I have somebody that we need to do something for today, don't we?
We do. Have you been juicing?
I have been juicing. Today I have coffee. Today I do have coffee too. Today I'm not trying to be weird.
I've had coffee the whole time as well. Nobody said I must stop my coffee.
No, he said no coffee.
Did he? I missed that part. I think my internet went down. Yes. Mine went down, and I needed coffee this morning. And what I mean by I needed coffee is I literally was like dying. It felt like I am so thirsty. I am so I'm not awake, and my mind was in like a. So I'm like, how do I change this energy? Coffee. Drink coffee. Coffee works.
So are you ready to teach me something?
I am.
So today is a very, very hidden, special day. In the background, we have somebody that helps us all the time. He's always willing to click a button. He's willing to be the butt of the jokes. He is willing to go be the person that just makes you smile if he needs to. Today is his birthday. And I have to be honest, I'm so excited he does all these things with us. I'm so grateful to have somebody like him in my life. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to do my very special honor to Mr. Brett Gordon. Happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday, buddy. Now, Ilse is going to teach us how to sing Happy Birthday to Brett Gordon in African. Oh, she's laughing.
Let's do this. I can't believe I'm doing this now. Sorry. Let me just.
Oh, I thought that was the happy birthday.
No. That's my ringtone on my phone. I got a call. I'm going to sing to you, Brett. Try and do this so that it's not as harsh on your ears. I do not have a singing voice.
This is going to be fun. Oh, God.
Okay, so here goes. Veel geluk, lieve mooikie, omdat jij verjaar. Mag die Here jou zien en nog baie jare spaar. Hip, hip, hooray!
I have to be honest, that was awesome.
That's awesome. That's the first time in my 83 years that I've heard it sung in Afrikaans.
Like Ilse comes in, right? Like she comes out of nowhere and she's like, "Hey guys, guess what? I'm gonna sing African to Brent today. I want him to have a happy birthday, so I'm gonna just belt this out." And I do too. I thought it was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Honored that you did that.
Yes, absolutely. I am honored.
I'll sing to all our friends on here. If it's their birthday and they want me to sing for them, they can just pop their name in. I'll sing for them. And they can say they've been serenaded all the way from South Africa on their birthdays.
So today's my birthday too now.
You have to wait your turn.
The B&B birthday.
Jump on Brett's day today. Brett's day.
They call us the B team.
Yeah.
The Care Bear team.
Exactly. Bring Brian in here. Then we got the triple B team.
Oh my gosh. So Brett, while you're here, tell us a little bit about what you did for your birthday weekend, where you were, and how many presidents you saw.
No. I'm not in South Dakota yet.
Oh, my bad. Misunderstood. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm going to South Dakota the middle of this week to determine if I'm going to move there.
Thank you.
Now, you and I were texting about this last night, buddy, and today is your birthday, and while Brett may look like he is not in his 80s, he really is. Him and Walt Disney used to be friends. They'd walk to school together back in the day, uphill both ways in the snow. So know that Brett is one of the original Mouseketeers, and he never grew out of his costume. So The B train has left the station. So now, Brett, what did you get into this weekend for your birthday? I got this one. I'm sorry, Sherry, if I didn't see anything else. But Brett, tell us a little bit about what you got into for your birthday, how you celebrated it. What do you want for your birthday?
I don't want to celebrate my birthday, so I don't.
I'll pull you. Hold on, I'll fix that. So as we were saying,
you should have started the conversation like that, but I wouldn't have sung to you. So,
right?
Yeah.
We're gonna rewind this now.
I actually fixed the refrigerator at my parents' house. I fixed the irrigation system over there. That was what I did when exactly. Jesus was a corporal when I joined the Air Force.
That was funny.
But yeah, I don't do anything special. Went over to a buddy's house and we didn't celebrate my birthday at all. We just had a few beers and talked about shit that's going on in the world today. And that's it. I mean, I have no plans for today other than to kind of prepare for the trip I'm heading out on midweek.
Now tell everybody where you're going and why.
I'm going to South Dakota because I want to really see what opportunities are there to move. That state is one of the freest states in the United States. Their governor has basically told our federal government, stay the hell out of here as far as your COVID restrictions and COVID mandates. And I just feel that the entire state feels more normal, more pre-COVID, actually more pre-mortgage crisis, which was 13 years ago. It's just a state that really feels comfortable. I was there for a conference called Freedom Fest a month ago, a little more than a month ago, which is the largest gathering of libertarians. And I felt a need to go to the conference. Well, the conference was great, but it didn't materialize what I thought it was going to. But what it did is it brought me to South Dakota, a state that I've never really explored before. And when I was there, it just felt comfortable. And then I talked to a friend of mine about it, and he was looking at moving out of Nevada because we've got these BS mask requirements and things like that, and a governor that's a pansy. And he is moving there, and I'm going to actually follow him out there in his move because he found a tremendous area in this state where you have a lot of geothermal hot springs, as well as energy that's as strong or stronger than what is in Sedona, which for those people that don't know about the energy in Sedona, that's where a lot of people go when they're going to be, the really energy healers. There's a lot of energy healing resorts and spas there. But they have something maybe even stronger in Hot Springs, South Dakota. So that's why I'm going there. I'm looking at the opportunity to really move there and to get into an area where I think people got the guts to stand for what they believe in.
So I think that's interesting because I don't know a lot about South Dakota. I just don't. I never have, and I know they have Mount Rushmore. I know they have like some good hiking trails. I've heard. I've never been to South Dakota, so I can't say anything about it, like good or bad. But I have heard South Dakota and what was the other one? Iowa. People have been moving to a lot more. And the Iowa one, I thought, okay, I get it. It's just outside of like other parts of the country. But South Dakota, like I'm thinking the light world needs to all move to South Sodak. You know what? Maybe we do. Brett, do you have a spot big enough for all of us?
Well, there's definitely land out there. That's for sure. So
that's the greatest answer of you guys can all find your own.
yeah, there's a lot of empty space out there, or large ranch lands and things like that, which are really cool. It's also got Mount Rushmore. It's got the Crazy Horse Monument. It's got a lot of Native American history, which is good and bad in terms of the way that the indigenous Americans or the indigenous people actually lived in the area or forced into the area, and then some of the things that happened to them when they were forced into their reservations. In fact, this picture behind me is a indigenous person from South Dakota. He's also part of the Lakota tribe, and he's part of a rock band as well as an actor. But here he's wearing his regalia. And when I saw this picture, the energy of this picture was just phenomenal. I didn't know any of the history about it to begin with. And then when I talked to the person at the store, she told me the backstory, and I was like, wow, that's the first Native American band I ever really listened to and got to know. So I bought it, and everybody who has seen this picture is like, wow, the power in that picture is amazing. So
can you, really quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you point to which one it is? I soloed you out because I want to make sure there's two here, and I want to make sure we're looking at the correct one, because wow, that's a lot bigger than I expected. Oh, wow. Brett, you really can see it. Now, that's the guy who painted that. It's like a self-portrait?
No. There's the artist is actually up in the Spearfish, South Dakota area. And this is just a Lakota tribe member.
Okay.
And like I said, because I found out that he was the drummer of the band that I first really got to know called Brûlé. They're an amazing fusion band of indigenous and kind of rock or pop rock music. But it was just an amazing experience when I was out there. I didn't get a chance to see the stage as much as I'd like to, so that's why I'm going back out there.
Nice. Very cool. And Sturgis is out there. What more could you want?
Yeah, well, exactly. In fact, the area that I'm going into, the Black Hills area, is by Rapid City, Sturgis, these hot springs, and the monuments. And I'll tell you, when I went to the Crazy Horse Monument, that was, to me, that was more powerful than the Mount Rushmore Monument because of the history that is in the museums associated with the Crazy Horse Monument. And the Crazy Horse Monument isn't finished yet. It's going to take years and years and years. And a big part of that is the federal government hasn't funded it that much. So, yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Now, Brett, I've seen Dances with Wolves. I did not know that was filmed in South Dakota, but great movie. And Brian wants to also know, Brett, do you know the band Redbone?
I've heard the name now, like within the past week or so. I have not actually gone to listen to their music yet. Okay.
All right. I'm just curious because I haven't heard of them either. Brett says birthdays are just another day the older you get. Is that how you actually feel, Brett?
No, I look at it as each day is the first day of the rest of our life. So
that's corny.
We can choose.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, buddy. Just kidding. But you're right. It is. And with a birthday, it's just another day to express keep going, but you're building your best you. I love the quick comment here by Mama Gotti. Fine, then have a mediocre birthday then. That was a good one. That made me laugh. I think Ilse has lost her internet connection.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Like she was having, I'm wondering if that was part of why we were having some technical difficulties, because I kept showing that there was a low signal somewhere, and I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Ilse, I hope you're okay. Check back in when you get a chance, and we'd love to have you. So, Brett, with getting ready to move to South Dakota, there's a lot that goes into that because you have family in Vegas. You have all your family in Vegas, if I'm correct.
Yeah, my parents, my brother, my sister, they're all here in Vegas.
So how do you make sure that you're able to actually, like, you're going to want to still be near family. You're still going to want to love your family. How do you actually, like, know this is going to be the right move and move away from your parents and your brother when I know they're helping them all? That's a big move.
Well, the challenge is that I have been really, kind of taking care of my parents. They're living in my house. My brother's living in my house. I'm not living in my house because they've all moved in, and I made the house handicapped accessible because my mother had a stroke and she sometimes uses a wheelchair, or most of the time. So I'm cognizant of that, but I'm also thinking at this point in time that I also can't put my life on hold to do that. I recognize that, this is a 16-hour drive from Las Vegas, where before I was kind of splitting my time between Vegas and Long Beach, California, which is a 4-hour drive. So much easier for me to get back if there was any kind of an emergency or so forth. But I'm just going to have to, maintain connection for sure every day. I call them even if I'm across town. But the biggest challenge is my brother and my father are like not mechanically inclined. And usually anytime they have to troubleshoot or try to fix something means more work for me because they broke it worse. So
I understand. Sorry.
Yeah. So like I said, I was over there fixing things this weekend, and that's what I normally do when I go over there. There's a honey-do list of things that I got to check into every time I go over there. So that's going to be a little bit different, but I do have friends here. I do have connections here if that goes that direction. But, I don't have a timeline on the move, but I definitely want to go out there and literally feel the area as opposed to see it, as opposed to research it. I want to feel it. I want to meet more of the people around there and feel how it is to be around them. Because, you can't, just like when I was in the military, I did not live on base. I lived off base in the countries I was at. I lived off base in Japan, off base in Korea, so that I could really get to know the culture and the people better than you can if you live on base and just go off base to party or to eat at a restaurant or something like that. And that's what I want to do when I go up to South Dakota this time. Probably spend about a week up there and then come back.
Outstanding.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Ilse's like, hey, Brett, do you have room for a roommate? I've heard she loves South Dakota. She has never been.
I love any way that's not
Well, that's kind of the direction I'm getting with Vegas right now. And it's not Vegas, it's Nevada. And it's because of the politics and the direction that the state seems to be going. There's just, there's a change going on here. And it's not one that feels comfortable to me.
So with that being said, you're doing a lot. All hail the queen. Oh, that's funny. That's a perfect one. Oh,
there we go.
Now, with that, Brett, are you doing anything today for your birthday in particular, or just getting ready to look at South Dakota and your move?
No, I gotta take one of my cars in because the battery is completely dead, and this car, it's a Kia the highest Kia that you could buy. I didn't buy it new, believe me. I bought it used, but the battery, just for the battery on that, the battery itself costs about $250, which is pretty expensive for just a car battery. And
your car battery is $250.
Yeah,
that's what car is this?
It's a Kia K900, and when I talked to the dealership, because you can't find the battery, they don't have them here. You have to get it out of California. They're distribution center there. He's like, well, there's not that many K900s, and that's true. In a year, they only sold like 1,000, 2,000. It's the reason they finally discontinued it. But the car itself is actually a really good car. They just set it up stupid. They set it up so that, and it looks kind of like a CLS 550, a Mercedes CLS 550, but they made it try to look at like a family sedan. And the way my car is set up, it looks like a race car. And if they would have set it up this way, because it's got 400 horsepower engine in it. It's a
powerful car. It's the one I rode in when I was in Vegas.
Yeah, it's the one that's got reclining back seats, all that kind of stuff. If they would have set it up to be more of a car appealing to the younger generation as opposed to the geriatric generation, they would have probably sold a lot more. And every time I bring it into the dealership, they're like, oh, this is the best way I've ever seen this car set up. And, that's it's weird. Just like, why couldn't they figure that out? They'd have made a lot more money, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Kias are awesome from Brian Tracy. You know who I want to hear say Kias are awesome? Stuart Lone Wolf, the mechanic of the year back in 2014. I want to know what his thoughts are, because he's a mechanic. His wife and him, that's what they do. If he tells me a Kia is awesome, you have a Kia, Sarah has a Kia. I know a bunch of people with Kias, and you either love them or hate them. But I feel that's every car. Like I know people that are.
Kia is big in South Africa as well. Kia, and then they've got this new one, Haval. I don't know if you've heard of that. Yeah, it's a Chinese car, but it's actually a very nice. You get nice SUVs and stuff. I think it's Japanese or Chinese or something like that. But I drive a Renault Capture.
A Renault.
Is it Renault or Renault?
I don't know.
South African thing we say. I think the South African. Hi, Kathy. I think the South Africans say Renault, or Afrikaans people say Renault, and I think English people say Renault, because we say Peugeot. and and then my boss goes, "That's not how it's pronounced." And I'm like, "Just shush, leave me alone."
Just shush.
I know what I'm saying.
Just shush.
No, I said, you know what I mean, so don't come here with, I say it like this.
All right, so Ilse, let's wish. How do I say happy birthday in African? And then we're going to put Brett in the back, and you and I are going to get ready for our next guest coming on, Mr. John Hoda. And if I pronounce that wrong, I'm going to blame Ilse. Hoda?
Hoda.
Hold on, try it again, John. I see you in the back.
Hoda.
That's what. Yep, we all read his lips correctly. John Hoda will be here in a second, and we'll get into his bio in 1 second. Everybody's throwing their cars out here now. Nissan Rogue. There we go. Alicia and I are on the same page. Nissan Rogues. Be careful with your Rogue, though. One thing they don't tell you is the sunroof. If you have a sunroof, you actually have to go get it blown out, because if you don't, it gets clogged up. And then when it rains, it drips inside your car. You want to know how I know that? Because the inside of my car is all water. Hashtag hate my Rogue.
You learned the hard way.
I took it in, and they looked at me like I was like an idiot. And I'm like, wait a minute. So basic maintenance is I have to open the sunroof during an oil change and have them blow this stuff out, that like just little leaves that have fallen out of there and
leaves
stuff.
And dust and all that junk.
Yeah, and they're like, yes. And I'm like, I have to do that for an oil change. Do you think any oil change place knows that? Like Jiffy Lube, take Five Below. No, that's not an oil change place. But any of those things. Do you think they know that? No, they don't. And they're not going to do that for you every time. So I told them that Nissan needs a new Nissan.
Well, that's how Nissan tells you to come into their place to get your oil change, and they'll do it for you for a price.
That's all I have to say to that one. and I say that because of the fact that, so I used to do that, but it was $50-some for an oil change, and I get the exact same oil change with my tires rotated next door for $30. And I'm like, I'd rather do that. Then let's get into the battery. So I have a push to start battery car. So you like just push the brake in, push the button, and you have a car. Well, guess what? If your battery's low, you got to replace it. The battery is $8 per battery at Nissan. But guess how much it is at the like Dollar General? $1 for the exact same battery, and you just have to know how to pop it off. Like I had enough of my dealerships, and I was like, I'll go to other people. Like you ever feel like that with your dealership? You just are like, I'm not gonna deal with you. I can get it fixed somewhere else for a lot better. That's just me, maybe, but yeah.
The service, where I bought my car, the service was amazing. Every time I take my car in, because it had a warranty, I bought it brand new. Every time the service was amazing, but as soon as the service plan expired and they wanted to charge me too much for oils change, I took it to a place that was cheaper. I went like, I'm done with you guys now.
Yeah, once you get done with the warranty period, then, I mean, not that you have to go there for the warranty, but it definitely keeps some of the BS away if things go wrong. And don't do the 60 and 45,000 and all that kind of bullshit. They charge you way too much for that. Yes, sir, Brandon.
So I have a question, and I'm asking this to the audience, not just, did you see me scratching, not even thinking? So
just scratch.
No, trust me, you don't want that. Like my mom was like, this Sunday night, I'm watching the Browns game, and I'm like into the game, but I'm so into the game, I'm not paying attention to my scratching. I'm like, "Grr." My mom goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, it's everywhere. My skin's on fire.
That sucks.
So
that really
I have
sucks.
a warranty on my car. Okay, I passed the mileage. I've gone in multiple times. How come nothing is ever covered on my warranty ever? From the heat shield.
Read the fine print.
Yeah, the fine print says go F yourself anytime you want to go get something fixed.
Exactly.
Like, for real. Like, they're like, oh, your heat shield underneath your car to keep things from overheating, and it needs replaced. It's been replaced 4 times, and it's $300 each time. And then they're like, I'm like, what if it says it's in my warranty, and then you guys tell me it's not when I got to get it fixed because a screw in this was not a part of the warranty. Like, they have so many loopholes. Like, for real, my mom was with me. That's the fine print. Yeah, the fine print says here, we're gonna do this. There you go. Sign that. Like,
and nobody ever reads it. We know that's what's happening, and nobody says anything. We just sign. I don't know how many terms and conditions I have signed that I've never read ever. When WhatsApp had their policy change, everything came on Facebook where everybody said they're not going to update the policy. And yeah, I am already on the new version. I didn't even read it. Like, except. They know everything already. How are you going to stop them now?
And at the same point, when you get that, they hand you a book worth of papers, and they want you to sign these things. And like, if you're like, hey, let me take this home and I'll read it, they're like, oh no, it can't leave here. And it's like, what do you mean it can't leave here? How am I supposed to know?
And you don't understand half the shit they write in there in any case.
Right? Oh, Terry. All right. I do have to give Terry something really quick. So on Saturday night, Terry went on Clubhouse, and I jumped in there with him. His name came on my screen. My phone popped up. It's like, yo, get on Clubhouse. Terry's on there now. I'm like, all right, I'm on here. So I go on, and they were doing a 3-hour session with one of my absolute favorite mentors. His name is Jay Shetty, and Jay is a Buddhist monk, and he's teaching people. He has a book coming out soon, and he's been one of my favorites for years.
I like him. I've seen his videos before. I like him very much.
So Terry literally is in there, and he's one of the main people that's like paying attention, that's organized it and all that. I jump in just to listen, and I'm hiding in the crowd, like doing like Brandon does, and he like pulls me up, puts me next to, like, on the stuff with it that he's up on, and I'm like, oh my god, like in my heart, I'm like, do I have to talk? Oh my god, please don't have me ask him a question. I can't handle that right now. Oh my god, okay, give me a chance to ask him a question. No, don't ask him. So like, I'm doing all these things, and I literally sat there listening. And Terry's messaging me in the app, and he's like, all right, we're going to need to update your bio. We're going to need to fix this. I want to do this with you. And he took me under his wing without thinking twice, because I don't do Clubhouse. I've never done it. That was like one of my first times actually sitting there. And it was, Terry, thank you. You have no idea how long this weekend was going, and I kept trying to find things to be positive for. And I literally was grateful for you. So please know, my friend, thank you. Thank you, because I had so much fun on that. And then the other one I got to say thank you to, for real, Kathy. Kathy, I was doing my taps and I was doing my jungle yells and everything we've talked about with love. And for real, it helped. It really did. Because when my mind was stuck on the itchy, I was like, come on, get away, tapping everywhere. And my mom was laughing. I went back and played our episode with her and I was like, yeah, guess what? Boom. And thank you, Terry. I saw you had one last night, and by the time I saw it, it was already too late. But you have a star next to your name or whatever it's called. So anytime you go on, I know to go watch, and I really appreciate it because you are a great interview, but you're even better human afterwards. Like you live what you preach. So thank you so much. Ilse has yawned and frozen herself.
Yeah. There she's back.
So Brett Gordon.
This internet's horrible. This internet is horrible. I can't wait to move. 2 more sleeps.
2 more sleeps. So today is Monday, and Mondays are mental health Mondays here at the Light Cafe. We succeed in 100% making sure we give people the best of ourselves by showing up, giving our love, our appreciation, and caring for one another. So today, when you go out, when you're at home, whether you're sending an email, a text, or just sitting there on the computer stalking your ex-fiance on social media, do yourself a favor and realize your mental health counts. Think of the people who might be having a tough day. Think of the people who maybe just need a hello that you haven't said hi to in a while. Do yourself a favor. Just reach out, say, yo, I just want you to know you're awesome and thank you for being you. Even if they don't respond, you're reaching out to give them a smile. So don't go anywhere, guys, because guess what? We have John Hoda coming up. He graduated in 1975 with a BS in Criminology from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. He's not just a former police officer, insurance fraud investigator, and for the last 24 years run a successful private investigation business. I have some people I need him to look into for me. Many of his cases have made headlines of the Philadelphia Inquirer and the New Haven Register. John sat on the board of the National Association of Legal Investigators and the CT Association of Licensed Private Investigators. He is a certified legal investigator, retired, and certified fraud examiner. I have so many people I think are doing fraud in their life. I'm going to just send you that way.
Send him a hit list.
Right? I'm going to be like, I need you to look into these people to prove they're fraud. All right? So, John, I hope you're ready for this. He's had published awards for articles in legal investigation. He's written numerous articles for PI magazines and other publications. He has created the DVD, The Ultimate Guide to Statements. He is a frequent guest blogger and webinar presenter and investigative interviewing. Oh, yeah. He has written 4 how-to books about the business side of private investigating and coaches. Pleasing and how to survive and thrive. So this is going to be one. I don't even want to say, like sugarcoat it. Like his bio goes on and on. His other creative activities include stand-up, storytelling, writing, producing, and acting in amateur theater. Guys, this is going to be one heck of an interview. I want Terry, have a great day. Good morning, Miss Jane. And guys, do not go anywhere. My ADD kicks in for everybody that's here. And I want to make sure you all know you're loved and appreciated, but don't go anywhere. John is going to be with us in a second. Brett, happy birthday, my friend. I thank you for being
here. Wanted to just say thanks to everybody for the birthday wishes and Ilse for the amazing birthday song. I can't wait until next year because that's the big 6-0.
You're 60 next year?
Next year I will be 60 years old. I'm looking forward to the decade of the 60s. I can't wait till I'm 60, 61, and 66 is going to be the best freaking year of my life.
Sorry.
Yes, no comeback.
I have nothing after that. Like, happy birthday, Brett. Happy birthday, Brett. You're getting it all over,
everybody.
buddy.
Thanks for recognizing it. And like I said, I'm just looking forward to next year. You know, people have these things about going from one decade to another, but hell, I've waited. It'll be 59 years before you get into the real amazing decade of your life, the 60s.
The 60s. I got nothing. Brett, just don't accidentally. Brando said you were 83. I did. Sherry McQueen, I wanted to know how Joe's doing really quick. Joe's doing pretty well. He's doing a lot of physical therapy. He's had some health issues, and I send him good vibes. I got to talk to him on Friday for a good 2 hours and catch up. So thank you for checking in on him, Sherry. Everybody, I want you to know F. Joe is getting back on his feet. He's getting back out there. His issues that he had happening, he's really putting his best foot forwards, and we want to thank you for thinking of him and sending him good vibes. Brett, I got to ask Ilse a few things before I bring John on, but Happy birthday. I love you. You look not a day over 84. So thanks for being here. Love you, buddy.
It's been a long episode.
Yeah, he's had 2 birthdays this episode. So, Ilse, we have a private investigator coming on in the next 5 minutes. Who do you want to have investigated so we could get him to look into him for us? Let's talk about that.
I have a thick file like this, and I've got evidence as well. You do not even have to investigate. I'm just going to give it to you, and you can just go. I've done all the investigation.
You're like, here,
go get him.
Here's my ex-husband. Here's my boyfriend from high school. Let me know how he's doing. I just want to check in. Only the ex-husband.
The files are this thick. I look like a criminal. It looks like I was a serial killer with all the shit that's in that file.
And glad he's coming on, and you're admitting this right before an private investigator comes on about your file.
I'm telling you, my Facebook wall has been screenshotted and taken to court and everything. Yes, it's that silly. So that's why I said I've got all the evidence you need.
I've got all the evidence you're gonna need. Oh, that's funny. Well, I think that if it was up to me, I would honestly. I don't think I could be a private investigator. Just being honest, I don't think I could, because the negative emotions behind the person that's hiring you to the person that you're investigating, my mindset would have to be so different, because I connect with people in such a different way. You'd have to be able to separate business and personal in such an amazing way that I know I personally can't do it. But guess what? There is someone who can. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back in 1 minute after these words from our sponsors, and we're going to have an amazing conversation and learn how to become the best private investigators, so we don't just have to use Facebook to stalk our exes. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Brandon, and over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe. A 15 milligram, lab-tested, all-natural, water-soluble hemp CBD powder pack. It's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Add it to your favorite drink of choice, wherever, whenever, on the go. Quickly find your calm, your balance, your delight when you need it most.
And we're back. I got dressed up just for this one. I went and changed my shirt as fast as I could. And we're back with John Hoda. John, thank you for joining us this morning, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How about yourself?
I'm wonderful. And this is our wonderful queen over here. Her name is Ilse from South Africa. We call her our South African queen. She has this energy about her that is always stalking her exes, and it's wonderful to have her.
I'm getting stalked. I don't do the stalk work. I'm too busy building my life. So let's just get that out there. I'm being stalked.
Although I must say that rendition of Happy Birthday was better than Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, thank you so much.
What a compliment. Like, that is high praise. So, John, you've been a private investigator for 25 years, correct?
Close, yeah. Half my career, 24. But I started out first many years ago as a police officer. I like to kid people that I was a cop so long ago I carried a 6-shooter. Yeah,
I get that.
It's a good joke. And then, but policing didn't pay very well back in the day. And I had an opportunity to become an insurance adjuster. And it paid better. The hours were better on Monday through Friday, daytime hours instead of nights, weekends, and holidays. And shortly after that, I had an opportunity to combine both of my skills, both law enforcement and insurance, and became an insurance fraud investigator. And that's where I developed an expertise, probably for about 20 years. And following that, I realized I was working for an insurance company and I was vending out a lot of work to private investigators. And when I saw how much private investigators were making doing the work that I was doing as a salaried employee, I said, no, I think I can do this myself. So in 1997, I pulled a private investigator's license and became independent special investigations. And since 97, I've been a licensed private investigator. And every day's different. Every day's enjoyable. I got to tell you, I mean, I run a business. So, there's the bookkeeping, there's the accounting, there's the regulatory stuff. There's other processes that I have to follow, but essentially it allows me the opportunity to go out and do a wonderful, what I think to be an opportunity to investigate, which is just really neat. So,
that's awesome. Can anybody, Jane asks a very interesting question. How does a citizen become a private investigator? Does that mean anybody can become one?
Well, yes and no. Yes, okay. There are, in America, it is licensed by state. I don't know what in different countries how it's licensed. I believe in the UK, you don't need to have any type of background or training or any type of experience to do so. But in the United States, most of the states have licensing requirements. But there are still some states that do not. And that's easy to check through your state licensing authority to see whether or not, in fact, there is one. In my case, in Connecticut, where I reside, I needed to have 5 years of investigative experience or 4 years of investigative experience plus a college degree. Now, many people in states where they require experience will either have it from coming from law enforcement or a governmental agency, or they will work for a private investigator almost in an apprenticeship situation for several years until they meet the licensing requirement. And in doing so, then they can qualify for a license to do that. But also, besides that, it's in most states, it's very regulated. It requires an errors and omissions policy of $1 million. It requires a bond in case you default on the work that you do. And it requires a background check to make sure that you don't have any kind of a criminal background. I had to go through having both business and personal references. That was a pretty steep hill to climb. But 24 years later, I've done it, and I've renewed my license every year since.
Do you only investigate fraud?
No,
Or do you do other cases and stuff as well?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ilse. I moved from fraud investigation as my initial job, and I did something called forensic genealogy. And at the time, I didn't even know how to spell genealogy. There's an A in there, and but what that was basically finding people around the world that had no clue that they were entitled to a large inheritance, and getting in contact with them and telling them that I would connect them to the inheritance that they had no clue about, and I would do so for a fee. I would hire the lawyers. I would do everything, but at the end, after they got paid, I would receive a portion of that inheritance. And I found people all over the world. It was very enjoyable work. It was very cutthroat work because missing heir research is a very competitive field around the world. And when I did it in Connecticut, I was okay. I was like a big fish in a small pond. But then when I tried to go national, I was a guppy in a shark tank. So it was a little different, and I had to stop doing that type of work. But I really enjoyed it. I developed an expertise in genealogy along with my investigative skills, and which allowed me to find these people all around the world. The most gratifying work that I do actually has moved away from working for businesses or corporations and moved to working for individuals. I work for attorneys in America that represent the severely injured, or attorneys that represent the families of people that have died as a result of some horrendous accident. And I work with them to determine who was at fault, who was negligent, and how they were negligent for the injuries or the deaths. And I feel very, very satisfied or gratified by doing that type of work because I'm helping the little guy. The guy that gets hurt in a car accident, or the girl that gets hurt in a car accident, the person that gets hurt in a car accident, that's the only thing they're thinking about is their pain and suffering. And if I can help them receive some sort of remuneration through their attorney from the insurance company, the insurance companies I used to work for, then that to me is very gratifying. The other thing that I developed an expertise, or no, I shouldn't say an expertise, but more of a specialty in, was doing criminal defense work. Now, you say that's kind of weird, being a former police officer. My job was to ensure public safety and to make sure that the crimes were investigated. Well, I found out that not everyone charged with a crime either committed it or committed it the way the police say they did. And there are many innocent people sitting in jail for crimes that they had nothing to do with. So I started working, and that's where I got, a lot of those headline cases. I started working on cases where my clients were innocent, and I either had to help the attorneys bring the evidence to trial and prove beyond a reasonable doubt, or create reasonable doubt of their guilt. Create reasonable doubt of their guilt, or if they've already been in prison, convicted, find the evidence that shows that they didn't do the crime that they were committed of, which is called an exoneration. And my most gratifying work has been working for individuals who have been salted away in prison. A lot of their rights have been removed because they've already been convicted. They don't have many opportunities or options. And to get an appellate attorney to work on their behalf is difficult. And to get an investigator to know what the heck they're doing to help them it takes a specialization. It takes a lot of patience and time. And there's nothing more gratifying than walking an innocent man out of prison. And I've had an opportunity to do that several times.
I was just about to ask, how often, percentage-wise, do you actually provide the information to help get an innocent man out of prison, innocent person out of prison?
Well, keep in mind that I'm working on cases that are pretty much hand-selected by the attorneys, that they feel that there's an opportunity there to explore whether or not the person committed the crime, or there's reasonable doubt of them having done it. Mm. So I'm already being pre-selected to work on those kind of cases. And it happens, Brandon, a hell of a lot more times than you think.
That was actually where my question was going to lead to, is how often are you contacted? And then the part that I'm actually going to be leaning into, so that way you can answer it all at once, is if you have a case, is it the lawyer hiring you or is it the person that's in prison? Because, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet now.
No. I have a personal rule, and that is I only get hired by attorneys because it's the attorney that has to go into court to take the facts that I develop and create the evidence, which they then have to do in a certain fashion. And then it has to either convince a judge or a jury of the evidence that they have that tilts it back in favor of the defendant or the wrongfully convicted. And then that would cause the attorney to then be able to use that information properly. Whereas many times the individuals don't understand what they need. They don't know the law. They don't know well enough how to go about it. And I take direction from attorneys because I know that they're the ones that have to stand in front of a judge and a jury and present the case. Whereas the client is basically an unwilling participant to the activities going on in the courtroom. A lot of cases understand that in the criminal justice system, over 98% of cases are settled through plea agreement, or just simply saying, yeah, that's right. And they sign the paperwork saying that they've done what they said it's been done. But I imagine that of that 98%, there's a significant number of people that plead guilty rather than take a chance and roll the dice in court to where a judge or a jury might actually find them guilty. And then they call it the trial penalty. Instead of taking a plea deal, which would be a couple years or several years or 50 years instead of life in prison, they get hammered. So many times a person that may be innocent of the crime charged would rather take a plea agreement and say, yeah, I did it, rather than and then have a situation where they're facing a much longer time. An exoneree that I worked with pled guilty to 40 years for a murder that he didn't commit. And the reason he pled guilty to a crime he didn't commit is because he looked at the lawyer that was representing him and said, I ain't going to win with this guy. And if he lost in trial, he would have gotten life without the possibility of parole, which meant to the day he dies, it's a life sentence. So maybe he was 13 or 14. No, I'm sorry. He was 16 or 17 at the time. And he didn't have a real high IQ, but he knew how to do the math. And the math was 40 versus the rest of my life. Well, fortunately for him, he got another attorney that was a hell of a fighter. And that attorney hired me. And we worked together and got very, very fortunate that we were able to move the pawns around the chessboard to checkmate the state. And they decided to, rather than go to a retrial, they decided to let the man out of jail, and after serving only 9 years. And he's still a friend of mine. So, yeah. Most gratifying thing I've ever done in my life. And
I can just imagine changing someone's life like that, because not a lot of people, I think, when they go to jail, families just throw them away and nobody really wants to listen to the full story.
Right.
And a lot of people get rejected. That is so amazing. Yeah. Do you have a case that haunts you that you know you've got or know what the truth is and you've got, but you can't get that person out or something? Is there one specific case that comes
still
to
working
mind?
Still working it. I'm still working it.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I can't talk about it, but okay. Yeah. And it's, I know it well. I don't know it as well as my client knows it, the case, because he's lived it for 24 years. He's been in jail since 1997.
Oh my gosh.
For a crime he didn't commit. And and that is still an active case on my desk. And I won't give up on that until the state won't allow any more appeals. And I just said, nope, I ain't going to do it. I'm going to stay with it. So, And there's been a couple others that have gotten away that I wish I had to do over on. But it wasn't so much my work that I was concerned with. It was that maybe not all the evidence was presented in court that could have been presented. So there are still some appeals out on those cases still going. And if I ever get called to testify again on them, I'll go in and I'll talk about what I did. But there's a few of those. Yeah. So there's a few that have gotten away that I won't say they necessarily bother me, because I've done everything I could possibly do under those circumstances. And if the guy's playing against a rigged deck, I can't change, who was dealing the cards. All I can do is do what I can do to help try to get him out of jail still. So, yeah, I know I kind of flipped the conversations away from what we normally see, in the stereotypical, or in the movie private investigation world. And I'm happy to do so, because we are really, truly professionals, working for professionals such as attorneys, large corporations, businesses. And we do work for people that need help. One of my best interviews with a private investigator on my own podcast a few years ago was a woman that wouldn't say no, looking for a missing dog. And you say, what? Yeah. She figured out what really happened in that situation. And it wasn't Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, but no, she really did. And she did a great job. And it was a wonderful story she told about how she figured it out and what happened. So there are situations that, cheating wives and husbands, other, discord, fidelity issues, custody issues. I mean, those are important. I'm not going to take away from them. They tend to just to play more to stereotype, but the reality of it is, there are times when a person absolutely positively has to know what's going on in their relationship, or they might have children that are, again, I'll use the word pawns in a custody battle. And one parent is absolutely convinced that the other parent is doing something that's harmful for them, for the children, while they have them under custody. So, I mean, there is some value to those cases. I'm not going to take away from them that they're not. But private investigations, span a true spectrum of cases. Anywhere where there's money involved, and you can sue somebody, there's a private investigator. Anywhere where people are involved and they have arguments or disagreements, there's attorneys involved and there's private investigators involved, and it goes all the way across the thing. I belong to two international private investigative associations, the National Association of Legal Investigators and Intelnet. And both of those organizations, and by the way, there are good investigators in South Africa if you need them. So I just want you to know.
He's connecting you already, Ilse, so that way you can,
So both organizations.
My details, I need them.
So both organizations have people, there, and if they don't, they know people that do. So, and I say that for anybody in the United States. Both organizations, NALI, N-A-L-I, and Intelnet, I-N-T-E-L-L-E, Intelnet, E-N-E-T, both have where to find members on their website, and you can, check and by either zip code or country, and you can see that they have them there. And these are people that are have already been pre-qualified by the association to become a member. They are members in good stead. They follow rules and regulations and ethics, rule of ethiks. So these are people that you can trust for the most part. I say most part. I mean, you have to always be careful. My advice to anybody that's thinking of hiring a private investigator, ask for a written contract. Ask for referrals to other people that they've done business for. That's kind of common sense. I don't think unless a private investigator really screws up, they're not going to appear with a Better Business Bureau complaint. So it's better to ask for a contract, better to ask for references. And if they hem and haw, another trolley will come by in 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean by trolley, Ilse? Okay.
No, I've got no idea.
All right. A trolley is a car on an electric rail that goes through, like San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Now I know now. When you said San Francisco, okay, I've seen that in the movies.
Right.
San Francisco Rice.
Yes, that's a trolley. So another trolley will come by in 15 minutes. So, you know, it's I wouldn't say that you have to put all your eggs in that basket. Really, I think that hiring a private investigator is one where you have to trust the individual to do right by you, and that they're going to spend your money wisely and not just churn to your emotions. And there's a lot of people that are involved in family matters. I call them family matters here in the United States, where it's involving infidelity or custody, where an investigator could inflame your emotions. And afterwards, the hangover and the empty checkbook is all you have. And it's like, what really happened there? No, you need to have somebody that has a clear game plan, an objective, and that has to be able to say, this is the information that we can bring into court that's going to prove your case. Okay. There are times, though, when an individual may want to know just whether or not the other person is cheating on them. That's a worthwhile understanding. I mean, that's an honest question to ask, because if that's possibly involved, then they have to move on with their lives or do what they have to do about it. And that's a fair question to ask.
So my next one is actually about like the cases. So you have these lawyers, and as you said, you've had lawyers where the one guy went for 40 years compared to life for a crime he didn't commit. Mm-hmm. How do they determine taking a case? Because I ask this, where when people go to jail, there's usually a stereotype that goes with that. Like, oh, they're got to be guilty. Why would the court rule it? Why would they just say they're guilty? Da, 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 da. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden another lawyer comes along with a private investigator like you that says, hold on, we don't believe this is happening. How do they choose which cases to really get into and which one to not? Because that's a tough thing with the stereotypes we have with our prison system here in the United States.
Okay. Well, there's the very simple answer that I can answer most of that with. And then there's the one that expands a little bit on that. That in the United States, a person can be arrested by probable cause. That means there was enough probable cause to believe that they committed the crime. However, when they go to trial, the standard of evidence required is much greater than probable cause, and that is beyond a reasonable doubt. I used that word earlier. So where a defense attorney resides is between probable cause and reasonable doubt, and has to look at the facts that are presented by the state or by the federal government, and say, is there a possibility of evidence that can be found that challenges the state or the federal theory of prosecution? And could there be enough of that evidence to create reasonable doubt for which a person then could go before a judge, go before a jury and say, no, Your Honor, or no, members of the jury, here's the other facts that the law enforcement or the prosecutors haven't brought forward that weighs this out. And then there's that opportunity to do so. Now, keep in mind that that evidence could also be used during the plea bargain stage, where the defense attorney says to the prosecutor, hey, listen, you're saying A, B, and C, but I've uncovered 1, 2, and 3. And if I go into court with 1, 2, and 3, we're going to have a little bit of a question about whether or not you can convict here. So they jostle back and forth, and they might come up with an agreement. Now, that's the tricky part that I talked to you about earlier, is that a person might consider themselves innocent of the charges that are made, but they would rather take a known outcome than roll the dice and go for it all, go for a completely innocent at the trial. So that's where sometimes the plea agreements come in. So many times a criminal defense investigator like myself will give the criminal defense attorney the evidence that he can or she could then use with the prosecutor's office to knock down the charges or to remove some charges completely, and that to leave only certain charges still left on the table. And then and the Yiddish word is handle. They handle over over what could be the end. Then the defense attorney goes to his client or her client, their client, and says, this might be the best deal I can get for you, unless you want to go to trial. And remember, I talk about the trial penalty. You can get hammered. So that's why sometimes that happens. But it's in that world of between probable cause that something happened and uncovering reasonable doubt where I live as a private investigator. I look at the state's case. I look at all the facts that they bring forward. I go out, I go to the crime scene. I re-interview witnesses. I find new witnesses. I find other evidence. I find other facts. And then I bring that to the attorney that I'm working for, and they sculpt their theory of defense. And that's either causes them to get a much better deal for their client, or they go all the way to trial and run the risk. Now, there's been times I've gone all the way to trial and my client has lost and has gotten hammered. I can't do anything about that. I do the best I can. The attorney does the best they can, although the client still has the opportunity to appeal for ineffective counsel. I mean, obviously, the attorneys don't wear an S on their shirt, at least on Mondays. And so, yeah, it can be very difficult. It can be fun. It can be great work, and all across the board. If I'm helping somebody with a need that they have, whether it be an attorney, a corporation, or a private individual, and I can supply them with the information of what is really the truth, or as close to the truth as we can get it, because people look at truth differently through different lenses, then I'm doing my job. And I tell you, for 40-some years, 44 years after leaving policing, having been an investigator, that's what I've been doing, just trying to find the truth, whether it was an insurance fraud, whether somebody actually burnt down their building, or really did they have a severe injury from their accident, or, what really happened in that accident to determine who was liable, or did the person really commit the crime? So. Yes.
I love that. I want to ask you, you do all these investigations and all these cases where you help people. Where do you still get time to write books as well?
Well, I started writing on Wednesday nights, and I gave up watching my beloved Philadelphia Phillies or my Philadelphia Eagles on Sundays. And I wrote Wednesday nights and Sundays. And then I would do my edits on my writing on other nights of the week after dinner and all that other, good stuff was done. Rather than watching mindless TV, I just fell into my hobby of writing. And that writing went from not just my very first book, but now I have just my 11th book is with my editor today and should be out in another couple of weeks. And that's a case that book is called Elm City Towers, and it's a fictional story about, that's the PI coaching. Go to johnhoda.com. johnhoda.com. Oh, that's my Hoda Investigations.
And your books.
No, John.
While he's bringing that up, are your books completely fictional, or is there some real life cases or real life information that you take from your investigations and stuff in your books?
That's a great question, and I'll answer it two different ways. One, I have a book that's called Mugshots, My Favorite Detective Stories, which is actually my stories, cases that I've worked on. And here's johnhoda.com. Yeah. So Upper right corner is the X. So the other books that I've written are fictional, but with 44 years of material to work through. Oh my God, how can I not put some of that stuff in there? So I do. I actually worked in Philadelphia and I had to deal with insurance fraud involving the Russian gangs. That's where Odessa and the Delaware came from. Clearwater Blues, that one. Clearwater Blues was a story where back several years ago when we had mass shootings in the newspaper or on the TV every single day, I said to myself, what happens to the mass shooter? Why are they just going, the next one, the next one, the next one? And so I did a much deeper dive on how a person goes from being an average day individual to getting a assault rifle and deciding to kill people in mass. Detroit Wheels was a little bit more, I want to use the word, dealt with a more sinister situation. And that was post 9/11 in America. Some of our people in the Muslim community weren't being treated very well by the three-letter agencies. So I decided to write a book about that. And I set it in Detroit, which is the largest concentration of Muslims in America. And just talked about how since 9/11, they've been poorly treated by our government. And in that somehow because of their religion and their background, they are a breeding ground for internal terrorists. And the last one was, West Reading traffic was a situation where a 16-year-old girl comes to America and believes that she's going to become a model, and instead gets thrown into an international sex trafficking ring, and for the uber wealthy. So I don't need to talk about some of the sex trafficking rings that have been in the news lately. I don't have to mention any names, but I just kind of said, what if? So I hit these high concepts in my fiction writing, and I also include parts of my life in there without really identifying. Yeah.
Now, my mom is a huge into mystery novels and stuff like that. So I literally copied your website and sent her a text message while we're here, and she's watching as well. But with you're writing books and you have 40 years of experience in this, and you've been doing this, John, how do you keep yourself from going into a darker place? Because you've dealt with from criminals who are in jail to sex trafficking to all these different dark areas of life. How do you keep yourself in a positive light?
Well, the writing is very cathartic. Is that the right word?
I know where you're going. Yes.
So I'm exorcising, like going back to The Exorcist. I'm exorcising a lot of my own demons through my writing. So it allows me the opportunity to get this all out. Now, there are some things that I won't write about, and there are some things that I won't touch because I haven't worked through them myself yet. So I'm not going to go there.
No.
No. I'm not only in the conversation, but I mean at the keyboard. I'm not going to go there on the keyboard. But the new book that I'm writing, Elm City Towers, in plain and simple language, deals with police getting it wrong on a 20-year-old murder. DNA exonerates the DNA and false confession experts exonerate the boys that were convicted at the time. They were boys. Now they're men 20 some years later. And it deals with a 20-year-old murder, which isn't much different than a murder that occurred in New Haven 20 some years ago that still remains unsolved. So, and I'll leave that. I'll put those in the notes of the book, so I won't say that right now. But essentially, it was for me a way of writing a fictional story a police procedural with a little bit of a crime thriller twist using my favorite character, FBI agent Marcia O'Shea. And I put her into a situation where she's got to look at this wrongful conviction case, but also the fact that it now leaves an unsolved murder from 20 years ago. So for me, writing about that was, I don't want to say autobiographical or biographical, but it allowed me to delve into some situations where I wanted to talk about it. Whereas if I had tried to write it from a true crime standpoint, look what really happened in some of my exoneration cases, I would have to get bogged down in so much research and so much fact checking and so much whatever that I just said, no, it's better to fictionalize the account and to reach people's hearts as well as their minds. So, yeah.
Have you noticed a change in, this is going to sound weird, but I'm going to try to ask it the best way I can. Have you noticed a change with how people think of private investigators from the way reality TV blew up, like in the last little more than a decade? Has it changed how people look at you or what they think should be done?
For the better.
Oh, I didn't expect that. I expected the exact opposite.
No, for the better. Keep in mind that, and I'm older. I'm like Brett, So.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you put it like that. I understand.
Yeah, I'm older. So the stereotypes were Sam Spade, Humphrey Bogart, the Maltese Falcon, the writings of Dashiell Hammett, Raymond Chandler, the movies Farewell, My Lovely, even going as late as Jack Nicholson, Chinatown. That type of noir, the hard-boiled detective, really did not put private investigators in a very good light. In fact, in half of those movies, they commit a felony within the first 5 minutes. I mean, I don't own a lock pick set. I don't know how to pick a lock. I mean, I can pick my nose, but not necessarily pick a lock. And to me, I don't get punched very often in my work. It doesn't happen. Although I do get to kiss a beautiful girl, and I've been kissing her for the last 45 years. So my wife. So, yeah, but other than that, no, that doesn't happen. I don't get to drive sports cars or hang from a railing of a helicopter, like Magnum PI. What true crime has done has really given the viewer the difficulty that's involved in cases where they have to solve the case, have to figure it out. And most of the true crime do place the private investigators in a more sympathetic light because they are working for people. Many times, the mothers or fathers of missing children who have been or teenagers that have been missing for years, trying to do the job right, or trying to help get someone out of jail that was wrongfully convicted. Right. So the way those private investigators are portrayed are, just as professional, if not more sometimes, because we have to play to maybe a higher standard than our counterparts in law enforcement. And to that, I'm not denigrating law enforcement at all. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that if we're put out there as being the person that's trying to establish the truth of a situation, and the police are already saying, well, the truth has already been established, what are you doing?
Right.
We have to play on a higher playing field because our integrity, our ethics have to be, without question. So I think we've been actually portrayed better as of recent, although I don't know of a single John Grisham book or movie that puts a private investigator in a very good light. Sorry, John. How to say it.
Sorry, John. Yeah. Now, I actually want to jump onto something. Your character for your book is what was their name again?
Marcia O'Shea.
So how did you come up with and I'm asking because you're using it's your outlet. How did you decide to use a female character as your lead? I love it. I'm just curious.
How was because in my very original book that I wrote, Phantasy Baseball, which actually is now considered 10 years later a sports romance as opposed to a sports book. the love interest of the protagonist in college was an accounting major who wanted to be an FBI agent, and her name was Marcia O'Shea. Fast forward 20 years later, when the protagonist is now pretty much a rock star in the major leagues, she reappears in his life again, and they talk about what could have been, what could have been back then, back in college.
Yeah.
And there was a very acerbic sports writer in my initial book that decides he wants to go back to his true love, which is true crime writing, or crime writing for a local, the crime beat reporter at the local newspaper. I call it the Philadelphia Sun, but it could be the Philadelphia Daily News or the Philadelphia Inquirer for all you care. And so I said, what if I could make a story in Philadelphia involving this writer and this FBI agent? Well, what would be a good story? And I said, well, how about that Russian gang that I remembered from back in the 1980s when I investigated the Russian gangs in Philadelphia? So I put the three of those together, and then I introduced Marcia O'Shea then. Now, Marcia is 20 years into a career. She's in a backwater squad where she's just basically counting the days until retirement, or the years until retirement. And this was a chance for her also to get redemption, to get back in the ball game again. The way I like to say it, to get her mojo back.
Yeah.
So I said, what would this look like if I had this, 47-year-old former college athlete who stayed in shape? What if I had her, rediscovering her mojo, getting her investigative mojo back? And that was the premise of Marcia. And now I'm 6 books into Marcia, and so she's a badass. I mean, I got to tell you, she's a badass, and she does play well in the sandbox, okay. But the way I've set her up is that she works on special assignments for the deputy director of field operations for the FBI. And she's not in your typical field office setting where, the FBI agents go out in pairs or they work together and they do that type of thing. So, and her reporting is a little different, but she has other obstacles and other rules to the game that she has to play by. So it's a little bit, one hand, she has more freedom, but on the other hand, she can't do all the things that an FBI agent can normally do. Yeah. So that was the sort of thing that made it very exciting for me to write her. So, yeah. Writing a woman versus a man?
No difference.
No.
And I love that your mindset is like that, because I didn't know if there was like your wife was an investigator, so you wrote the book like her. So I was like leading it to be able to see it, but your answer, I like your answer even better because it means you really don't see the difference. And I love that. So thank you for that. Thank you.
No, I wanted to write an investigator who's getting her mojo back. And it just happens to be her. She can drink as well as the boys,
Yeah.
Eats bad food as well as the boys. In fact, one of my editors say, your characters spend too much time eating. I said, what do you think cops do when they're not investigating?
Right? We're sitting around eating. What do you do when you're not working? Like you're eating.
The Dunkin' Donuts or the donut shop, the donut shop thing is real. I mean, that's a real trope. I mean, you can't get rid of it. It's real. I mean,
I just wanted to ask if it's true that cops like donuts.
Yeah.
Do they like donuts?
Just yes.
Yeah. And the reason is, for many, many years, the only thing that was open on the midnight shift were donut shops.
Okay.
Like 24-hour diners. That was it. I mean, that's all you had to choose from. Nowadays, you have convenience stores and, quickie marts and everything else. You have a whole, potpourri of options available to you. But back then, that's the only thing that was the only thing that you get. Maybe a vending machine, pack of crackers, and that was it. So
Dealing with murder cases and everything, you must have seen some horrific photos and crime scenes and everything. How do you cope with that trauma that you experience while investigating a murder or a kidnapping or whatever?
I write about that in the books, where Marcia is getting tired of looking at autopsy photos. She's getting, she's sick of looking at dead people, and that those things are getting filed away in her psyche, and there's really no place for it to come out. I mean, if you talk to a law enforcement officer, you talk to an investigator, you talk to people that show up at horrendous accident scenes, EMTs, emergency room personnel. You talk to them, and this is quite a bit of accumulated PTSD. There's no place for it to come out. Sometimes, there's maybe a gallows humor amongst the people in those situations where they can, they say some really horrific stuff, but it's you laugh out loud because it's the only way they can keep from going crazy themselves. Yeah, and then, but the other thing is it goes into it goes in, and it doesn't come out real well. It doesn't. I'll be honest with you, it doesn't come out real well. But one of my things was I've written 6 books with Marcia now, and there's been a lot of blood, guts, and gore, and all that stuff. And there are a couple scenes of torture. But that being said, I'm now going into cozy mysteries. I'm going to write a small town cozy mystery involving a 35-year kindergarten teacher. Not 35 years old. She's taught kindergarten for 35 years. And and everything she learned about solving murder mysteries, she learned in kindergarten.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's so awesome.
It is. And it's Miss Marple meets Sherlock Holmes.
Well,
hold on.
That sounds interesting.
Hold on.
Yeah,
hold on.
Go get it. I'm excited.
Me too.
Have
you thought of somebody you want to investigate yet?
Me? Yeah, I have a whole list. Oh, that's awesome.
Agatha Christie.
Let me put my headphones on. There we go.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Agatha Christie, way back in the day, wrote a spinster lady from little St. Mary Mead in merry old England, Miss Marple. And this woman could figure out anything. So I combined her and Sherlock Holmes in this series. And following the tropes of cozy mysteries, it's not a lot of blood, guts, and gore. There is going to be a death. It's going to be described. It's going to be analyzed. But it's really more about who did it or how was it done and who remember Knives Out, the movie Knives Out? I don't know if you remember that. That's a perfect example. That's kind of in that place. And my instead of a well-known private investigator or investigator like Hercule Poirot, my lady is 57 years old. She's taught kindergarten for 35 years. She's lived in this small town almost her entire adult life, and that's how I'm dealing with the lack of or the autopsies and the crime scene photos and that type of stuff. I'm just going to go into a better place, and I'm going to go and write a series of cozy mysteries instead. But the writers that write this or the real life people that deal with this on a day-to-day basis, they have to have other outlets. They have to have other things that they can do to keep things in normal. They have to be able to find a balance in their life other than just to work. Otherwise, they get burned out and they can get very, suicide rates very high amongst first responders. Alcoholism, drug use is very high. Why do you think? It's because they're facing the inhumanity of man every single day, So
they see the ugly parts, the beautiful parts and the ugly parts.
Yeah. And unless they have some sort of an outlet, a healthy outlet, other than, drugs and alcohol or doing stupid stuff, then they're better then it's just gonna sit in them, and it's not going to come out very well. So, yeah, but I can write it. And for me, as I said earlier, while you were in and out, Ilse, I was saying that it's a way of exercising it out of me. It's cathartic for me to do this. And so I can get rid of these demons and put them in a place where it's acceptable for me to do so.
So our audience had a question, Miss Jane, and she has two here. I'm going to combine these. Have you ever investigated a medical malpractice case or investigated for fabricating results?
Both.
Oh,
yeah.
Now you've.
Yeah, I've investigated both, and it's medical malpractice. I've worked for some of one of the largest medical malpractice firms in the state of Connecticut, and they've had me do mostly people interviews of people that were somehow involved in the process of how it came to be that the malpractice took place. People in the medical office, secretaries, receptionists, nurses, all the people that were surrounding the person that committed allegedly committed the malpractice. In lab fabrication, it has to do more with the showing that the chain of custody from the time that the sample was done until the time the sample was reported on in court, to go over that with a microscope. No pun intended. Going over it with a microscope and showing a pattern in practice by the lab of similar type findings when independent testing of the same or similar evidence comes up with a totally different finding. And then you start going into the people part of it. Well, why would that happen? Why would this go on? Why would this take place? And many times it's the zeal of the prosecutors and the pressure put on the labs to come up with a finding that is to the state's case. And that's where it usually unravels. And boy, when it unravels in a big way, because now the laboratory is under a suspect of tampering with evidence. And when that happens, it's like open season for all the defense attorneys to go back over every single case where a crime was either pled guilty or found guilty based upon the findings from that laboratory. So yeah, and that's why it's so important for the quality to control and to be there, because they have to be even-handed. They have to be the balance. They can't look at it one way or the other. They have to call it as they see it. But then again, I'm using a baseball term, Ilse, and there's just too many times when an umpire doesn't call it right, but you're wondering, well, why not? Well, it could be because they're ineffectual, or they're not a very good umpire, or there might be a reason. And you would rather think that they're ineffectual than having a reason why they're not calling it right. Anyway, so
we've got a last question from Brian. He says, on a case where you have helped prove someone's innocence, have you also helped catch and convict the real perpetrators?
That's a great question, Brian.
I know. Nice one, Brian.
You're gonna love this answer, but the answer is cops aren't interested. They think they got their man. Oh, we did it right. We did everything right. No, sorry. And I can't tell you. I can't count them on the number of hands. The number of times when, as during the actual trial or during the habeas hearing, where we've put forth clearly who we think the alternate suspect is, with evidence. Nope.
That is actually very sad.
It is very sad. And
do you get a lot of appeal with cops that they don't want to help you when you start investigating their work?
Yeah, no. It's like, who are you?
Yeah.
And it's proprietary. It's proprietary, but it's also the thin blue line or the blue wall. No, sorry. You're not one of us. Too bad. No, you used to be one of us, but you're not one of us anymore. And getting law enforcement to listen to reason sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like getting your ex-husband to listen.
John's face is the best. Wow!
Exactly the
same. We're not going to go that way. How's that, John? I got you back. We're not going to touch that one. There's a 10-foot pole.
It's true. No. It's true.
I have it in me, but I'm not letting it out. Nope. Sorry.
You have one F word. You have one F word, and you're allowed to use it in this answer.
Only that answer? Not fair, Ilse.
Sorry.
So, John,
you
have been an amazing interview. You've done a lot of things, and the thing you're about finding the truth.
Yep.
You're about having healthy outlets, and you are an example of exactly what I picture we're supposed to do as we grow. You learned and you saw different areas of where things were broken that you could help and you can fix, and then you found out how to help yourself along the way. So, John, I want to share with everybody. Here's his website one more time, guys. Go check out his books. John, I'm going to be like, I get a download one for my mom. And I know I like to read, but she is fascinated with murder mysteries and stuff. Knowing that the author was on our podcast, she's going to eat that up. But the way we end every single show is we actually speak positive things out for everybody. Even if we hate our exes, Ilse. And so
we don't hate them. We just don't like spending time with them. Hate is an emotion that I don't give to my ex-husband.
So the way we end every show is we speak positivity into everybody and all that. I'll go first, and then I'll have Ilse go, and then you're going to close us out for the day and take out the show. So thank you again.
You're
Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah. So John has taught us a lot of really cool things today. The biggest thing I took out of this is a healthy outlet. How many times do we absorb everything going on in our lives, everything hitting us at once? And sometimes we don't realize we're holding on to our past. We're holding on to things. And having that healthy outlet, maybe it is writing, maybe it's painting, maybe it's exercise, but having a healthy outlet for yourself is essential. And I think John showed us that in such an amazing way, because his life we saw so much of it come together here, from the police stuff that we just had a fun part conversation with, to finding truths, to really being able to say, that's not me and I need to let this out, and putting it into a way where he can share love and pain in the same way through the book for you. So take today to know that with John's message, his podcast, and everything he shared with us, he's finding his healthy outlet, just like we're all looking for. Take today to take a second for yourself, find that outlet, and be able to just know that that's for you. Even if nobody reads it. Like, I know people are reading John's books, but like, nobody sees it, nobody gets it. That's your outlet for you. Find that today for yourself.
What John taught us as well is that you don't always know what the outcome of something will be. So for anybody in a situation where you think that you should just be bullied in time for something that you didn't do, reach out to the right people and ask for help. There are people out there that want to help. And then I just want to say it's the last 2 days of August. I'm actually very happy August is past. Wednesday is a new month. It's spring in South Africa. I think it's autumn in America. I don't know what the seasons are, but like seasons change, or we get season change. You get seasons in your life as well. I hope you all have a positive season for September. And then I want to read something that popped up onto my feed this morning. It says, you have within you everything you need to deal with whatever the world can throw at you. So I just want to leave that there for the people that are going through health issues and worldly issues with cars that got stolen and things just going wrong. Just know that there's a blessing in disguise for everything that's happening, and just stay positive and share your story. Thank you so much.
Oh boy, I have to follow those two. Okay.
Sorry, John.
No, and you stole my quote, Ilse. So I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I have nothing to say. No,
I'll send you one quickly.
I'm only kidding. Listen, if I can talk about the last 45 years of my career, and then the next, hopefully 35 years of my career, I'm going to say that it's a matter of deciding what you want and not letting anything get in the way of it. And the biggest thing that gets in the way are your own self-limiting beliefs. And once you start removing them one at a time, and you start seeing, your small wins, you can build on your small wins. And then during times of adversity, you can look back at your wins and say, hey, if I did that, I can do this. And let me just suck it up and get on with it. I think the thing about it is that once you decided that you're going to go after something, you have to give it time, and you have to make sure that you make the time for it. You don't find the time to follow your dreams. You make the time to follow the dreams. And I think that's the biggest thing, because everybody can squander time. I could have a doctorate in squandering time if I wanted to, but instead I decided on learning how to manage my time so I can make the time to do the things I want. As I said earlier in the show, I wasn't a crime fiction writer. I wasn't a writer at all, a fiction writer at all. But Wednesday nights and Sunday afternoons, and then instead of watching mindless TV during the week, at night, I spent the time to learn how to write my first book. And then just from that, one step after the other, like I said, make the time. And that way you'll always know that you're moving in a positive direction.
Very well said. Very well said. Thank you so much for being here today. Ladies and gentlemen, click the link below. John, you gave us a great way to start Monday. This is a great way to start the week. We are both honored you were here. Guys, go give a follow, go give a like. Make sure to read his books and tune into his podcast. John, you're welcome back anytime. Thank you for joining us today. Bye, have a good one, guys.